Alright, we're back. Took me a while to find the new rubbers. They were hidden in the back of a box. Takes me a while to find stuff. Oh, just in time for the air compressor. Good timing. Alright, I need some 5/16 bolts. Let's go with this one. Oh, looks like it's close. Not the right one. Let's do this one. Yep. This one. There we go. 5/16. Stubby. There's the flanges at. Next step up. Yeah, the one I'm running out of. Perfect. Seven-eighths. See, Harley, they would use a 3/4 on it instead of a 7/8, but I like having long bolts. That looks good. Yeah, I like having 2 diameters of everything in length, so it's not quite 2 diameters, but it's pretty close to it. That's what he had in there. You see, they were making one more thread longer yet. So these here work fine. So with the hex head going in here, I can go ahead and put them on there easily and tighten them up. So if you put these in there right now, get them started, you can put the flanges in here. You can just slip right in. You don't have to fight so much. Just go in there about 2 or 3 threads, doesn't matter. So, get you plenty of room to slip in. There's no reason for a lock washer or anything. You don't need it. Doesn't do anything. Okay, so we still got to figure out what we're going to do about this here. A little fabrication work will be required. Okay, so if you don't put the lock washers back on here, they're probably too long, so I'm going to put them back on even though they shouldn't be there. This application, they work, otherwise I could go find some Allens, which I don't know where they're at either. Hard finding stuff right now. Alright. So, those are the old rubbers. New rubbers are on the foot peg down here. So these are our new rubbers. Okay, so this is the front flange because there's a big F on it. Taper goes against the flange, flat against the head. Put them in there more or less flat like that. Make sure the other one has a big R on it, or a little R. Okay. Let me just slip this all back up in here. And the flanges through the bolts like you're supposed to. Like that. It's going to fall as soon as I go to get the camera, but oh well. So you can see how the bolts are in there and the flange goes right into the bolt. When you shove it all in, you should have access to your bolt right there, nice and easy. If you're fighting it, then something is wrong. You just go push it straight in and the bolt should go right in there. So the ball driver kind of almost holds it. If you're quick, you go in. If you hit on something before you get all the way in, it knocks it off though. Both on the floor now. Alright. So it's an easy way. try to get it in my hand now. Stick the bolt in the flange, then come in the driver. I got within half an inch where I need to be, but it dropped out each time. If you have to force the bolt in, you're probably cross-threading, so don't do that. So the ball driver just fits in there nicely in there like that. Just screw it in. Now don't screw it all the way in because you want to go even with the flange, you tighten it. So pull that up about a 1/16. You can see how the bolt dropped on the floor along with the lock washer that went someplace. Yeah, I don't know where it went to. Went someplace. Couldn't have gone too far, right? Yeah, great. They'd be together. Yeah, wonderful. Missing lock washers are always the best thing to leave laying around in your bike. Alright, well there's nothing critical open right now, so it doesn't really matter, but I don't like having lost hardware I can't find anywhere. For now we're going to steal this one over here. I'm going to try to put it in there. I can't do that with one hand. Once again, it takes two hands to do stuff. The carburetor, everything fell out, so I got to reposition it back all in. There we go. Then you go over there with a hex wrench and you tighten up the other side in a little bit. Way too high for this one. So you can see how they're way far away from the head, so you gotta bring these down where they're almost touching but not quite. And we'll go back and tighten those up a little bit further, and we'll make sure the carburetor's even. Right now the carburetor's sitting flatter than it was before. You want to make sure it sits in there square before you tighten it all down. Kind of a no-brainer on that one, I would think. Pull these in by hand. Start feeling a little resistance, lift up the carburetor. Go down until you just get a little resistance again. Not real heavy though. You do not want to tighten this side all the way down first because it has to slide. That's why these are slotted. So you go down till you're almost touching but not quite. So you don't get too far away. Back over here. Don't need that now. Carburetor's pointing a little bit uphill right now. So you definitely don't want to tighten up at an angle like that. You want to bring it down a little bit to where we're not straight to the head here or the bike, depending on which way you're looking. About in that area. What I do is I put my straight edge on there and look at it. First, I'm going to bring these in a little bit further, though. Not quite all the way again, just almost all the way. Okay. pull out your handy dandy straight edge. Stick on the bike. It looks straight, you're good. A little bit high right now. Bring it down a little bit. Too much. Bring it back up. Close. Rubbers, you gotta, let me get out of here. When you're moving it up and down, you gotta go down too far, come back, so the rubber's kind of self-center a little bit. You're not under tensional load, which should be bad. It's hard to see, but it looks pretty close right there. Maybe just a tick off still. That looks pretty close. It's hard to see the profile of the whole bike when you're, I can't really see the whole motor. But if you look at the rear fender back there, you can see how the gap up there with the sissy bar is a fender. It's equal from top to bottom of that fender. Assuming the fender is straight, the carburetor is straight. It looks like it's slightly this way on the motor, but it isn't. I don't think so. You get back here and look at it, it looks a little bit better, but so it's hard to get a good view of the motor, but it's pretty straight. Definitely straighter than it was. I'm happy with that. Okay, once you get it where you want it to be and the rubbers are all unbounded, then you go ahead and tighten the bolts all the way down on both sides. Tighten this side first, and then go do the other side. It's hard to torque with a ball driver, but on these you don't really have much option. Rounding the head out right now. And it's not tight. That one's tight. So push it all the way in and torque it. Pull and torque. That both of them around in the front one. And once those two are tight, you go on the other side and tighten the other two down all the way. The flange should go all the way against the head when everything's correct. If it doesn't, there's something wrong usually. So now the flange is all the way against the head. So if you look in here, you can see it's all the way against the flange in there. All the way against the head, I mean. Hard to see. Now if it's not going all the way against the head, you might have a bolt that's too long and it's bottoming out in the head, which is common. See, it's all the way in. So is this one. The other problem is you run across is that the rubbers, if you go to like an S&S manifold or a Midwest or one of the other brands, aftermarket, sometimes they have a bigger intake spigot on them and they take a special thin O-ring instead of the thick one that Harley uses. So if the manifold's a real big ID on the port, you need a big different manifold, different O-ring. Okay, so you can see how the hole is off a little bit there, about a 1/16 of an inch. So we need to grow that a little bit. So we're going to grow that thing a little bit. basically have to cut it off and move it up, so you can do it. It's about 1/80 thou too short. Now this side down here can be slotted. We can bring it up higher, but I don't know if there's any material down there to do that with. More than likely going to be cutting the end of it off and move it up a little bit.